Alright, so we're going to be doing the water valve assembly. And of course you have 1/4" screws back there. Make sure you turn the water off. And unplug the unit as well. Those are 1/4" screws as well. Always double check, make sure your part that you ordered are the same before you actually disconnect. And by the way, this is pretty straightforward. You really can't mess it up. I like to take them off one at a time. And if you're not totally sure, take some pictures and or do some markings. You can't really mess it up. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing I want to point out, on the bottom of the valves, you do have those keepers. I call them keepers. And they actually keep the water lines secure. They keep the lines from moving back and forth, almost like a water hammer. Water hammer is basically a water moves and it stops. So every time you activate the water on the door, and when it stops, it literally shakes or jolts. So the keepers keep the lines securely locked in place, and basically the possibility of it coming out is minimized. So make sure you put them back. And I think towards the end of the video I talked about that and kind of show you how to put them in. So it's kind of far, the angle was not that great, or it wasn't as close up, but you'll pretty much just follow along. Just make sure you remove them before you can release the lines. You can't get them out unless you squeeze, then pull. They could be a little bit pain to get into, but once you angle it correctly, it slides in and it's pretty okay. So I'd say just follow along, pretty straightforward. And we're going to be getting the customer water. She was actually couldn't wait for me to get back to connect it. So, all right, enjoy the rest of the video. Good. No leaks. Okay. All right. We're just going to come to the front and verify.
So we can have water again.
So you haven't had water in a while?
Oh, no.
How long?
I guess now it's been a week and a half.
Oh, wow. That's long enough. Time for water. All right. I wanted to show just a little bit more, just to give you a clearer idea of how the valve works. So, looking at the valve, this is how it would be. And by the way, when you install it, I did show it. You have this little piece on the inside of the fridge. Make sure you slide it in. It's like a nut or head of a bolt. Fits right there, locks it in, and then you screw your 2 1/4-inch screws there. So the idea is here, this is your main water supply. It comes in, and then it goes up, and it goes to the water head or your filter housing. It goes through the filter housing, and it comes back into this guy. Okay, now this is filtered water going here. So as you press for the water in the door, this valve is also energized. So water comes in, goes up, comes out, filtered, and then goes in and goes to the door into your cup. Simple as that. So if this is no good, water is here, but it's not going to the door. The green is your ice maker. So as the ice maker calls for water, same process. This valve is energized. Also this one, and water is sent up to the ice maker. And same process, if you call for water as you're getting ice, they both would be energized. And when the ice maker is done, power would be turned off, stopping the water. And of course, you'd continue to get water from the door. All right, so that's pretty much how that works. All right, so a couple more pointers on the installation. Now, in case you're wondering how to remove these, you're gonna basically, you can do it 2 ways. You can squeeze, the portion on the valve and pull. Comes right out. Push back in, make sure it's fully seated. If you don't have enough strength in your finger, you can also use maybe a 7/16 spanner wrench, and you can use that to press. But the idea, you push first. You can't push and pull. You have to push first and then pull. It comes out. One more thing. You'll have these on your Frigidaire, and these are basically keepers. They keep the line tight. Every time you apply water or call for water, there's a shaking, and there's some dogs, you may say, on the inside, or teeth that grip and keep this from pulling out. When you squeeze, you release those and you're allowed to pull this out. When you you can actually see the marking where it grabs. Right there. Okay. So it literally grabs it. So you want to make sure you put this back on. I wanted to point that out, and it fits in between the grooves between the body, and that's where it sits. And you push it, but you have to also make sure you conform the line to it. So pretty much the same order in which it was taken out. And it keeps this from shaking and pulling out. Now, one more thing. I mentioned this is your filtered water. So, quick diagnostic as well. If you are not getting water at the door, okay, there's a good chance that this valve is not getting water because your filter head is not working. So if your filter head is not working, meaning you're not filtering water, you're not going to get water out of this one. So you would go inside. In my first part 1, I showed how to bypass the filter head, and you would just connect the 2 lines, and you would take the filter head out of circuit to confirm your diagnostic. Then you would just go ahead and check here for water, and if you have water here now, get a cup, pour the water in a cup, have someone press the paddle, and if you get water, that tells you that your dispenser is working. It tells you that your filter head is bad. You would replace the filter head, and of course make sure your filter is good enough. All right, I think that covers that. All right guys, thanks for watching.